Hello, dear people, dear explorers. Today's episode is a little different. A few days ago, on October 28th, I turned 26 years old, and I decided, on the occasion of my birthday, to share a post in which I wrote that from now on, I don't want to sound in any way that doesn't match what I truly feel inside. And I asked you to send me questions, promising that I would read them all and select most of them for a full episode. A Q&A that will be natural, relaxed. It won't be a dynamic edit, so you can listen to it or watch it and relax wherever you are. We'll have a chat as usual. The interesting thing is that I'm in the place where my guests usually are, and right now I'm seeing things from their perspective. It's very strange, it's very different. Is this what it looks like from my guest's perspective? This is very useful, no matter what you do, to put yourself in someone else's shoes, to step into their place, even for a moment, so that you can get a sense of what they might be experiencing. It's very interesting, very exciting. The truth is, I haven't read most of the questions because I love spontaneity. That's the kind of person I am. I like to deal with things spontaneously, I love to improvise, and I feel comfortable with that. Things happening in the moment and having to react right then, because that's when I use logic less and less. And what comes out is from the heart, and what is from the heart reaches your hearts, so it's worth it. On the internet, they're known as so-called solo podcast episodes, single episodes. I don't know what that is. This year we started at this table with this format. I've been filming for 10 years now. I'm used to the format changing, but I'm really glad that we're creating this closeness again, just like we've always had. Whoever has sat across from me, and before that, there were episodes long before that and videos long before that, and there are still solo episodes. A lot of you want to hear my perspective on the endless questions that my guests and everyone else answer. So today is one of those days. Make yourself comfortable. I'm warning you, this episode will be long, so we're not in a hurry. By the way, today is Sunday. Relax and just be here, be present, take what resonates with you. Take what will touch you, complete you, and broaden your perspective. And let others take what is meant for them. So, we have questions from Instagram, we have questions from YouTube, and questions from Facebook, and there are even questions from Threads. I'll start with the questions from YouTube and we'll see how far we get. Velichka Varbanova. We don't need to be perfect, but real. They say that perfection is not about adding, but about removing the unnecessary. It's a personal question, but in the context above, what do you think you need to remove in order to be the true version of yourself? Subscribe. I think that every day we are faced again with a fundamental test, which is from us, for ourselves, and it is something we have to go through every day. It comes down to how much we want to control the events around us, how much we want to beat our chests about what we've accomplished, and how much we want to freely express ourselves. So I think that every day, in a way, we start again from the beginning. But this time, with a clear understanding of the mistakes and experiences we've had ourselves. I can say that to be more patient, even more so, yes. To truly think about what comes out of my mouth, as a vibration, as words, knowing that they affect those who are in front of me. Not to pay so much attention to the trivial things in everyday life that can turn your whole day upside down. And for me, as you can imagine, to keep finding all sorts of ways to bring myself back to the present moment. It doesn't matter if it's books, podcasts, a certain piece of music, a melody from a movie trailer, basically all these little tools that bring me back to the present. To keep track of whether I'm lying, whether I'm saying something just because I want it to sound a certain way, or because I truly believe it. to be lovingly demanding of myself, to be calmly demanding of myself, to have the self-discipline to hold myself accountable for what I say, do, see, and think, but at the same time to be fully aware that in that moment, whatever I did was the best I was capable of. That's what I would say. Happy holiday. Since you are so young and so wise, my question is, how old do you feel yourself? Well, that's debatable to say. I feel like I'm 20, 22, or maybe as old as I am, 22, 23. I'm 26, but feel 22 or 23. Because you see, the more a person walks the path of awareness, logically, he expands his consciousness. When he does it. This is directly related to expressing more and more of the child within himself. That is, in all those more serious moments, he should bring out the childlike part within himself, the child within. I don't mean silliness or goofiness, but rather childlike curiosity, childlike inspiration, in general, the childlike drive to see things as a child, to enjoy them as a child. And in this sense, I truly feel like a child from the other perspective, when I have to present certain ideas, and when I'm at events or talking to people, I somehow find that balance and become more serious. You've all seen me, I do it well, right? It's not theater, it's just a part that also comes out of me. At the right time, when more firmness is needed. When the words you're about to say really carry, and you realize it, a great responsibility for everyone's consciousness. But, somehow I think that if we go back to the children inside us more often, we'll be much freer. It unlocks our imagination, we get more ideas, and we don't get so affected by what others say to us. Because a child, one day something happens to him, and suddenly his attention is captured by something bigger, something that brings him more passion. And he has already forgotten about that thing. But we, the adults, right? We carry that thing we want to suffer, to feel the pain, to carry it on our backs in front of everyone, to tell the story again, to drive a few more stakes into ourselves, yes, to suffer a bit more, and only when we've suffered enough, then we can move on. I don't like that. Chocolo, my question is from Ivo Yanev. Do you think that people who have set out on the path of the soul should isolate themselves from social changes, relying on the idea that despite the activity of matter, somehow society will integrate spiritual laws into the everyday life of this form of manifestation of life, and it will survive in the future as one of the forms of manifestation of life, healthy, and so on? That's a wonderful question, and I understand why you're asking it, because it's very difficult for a person to maintain these interests when they're surrounded by people who clearly don't have such interests. Because then this search for the spiritual, for the unknown, for the implicit, it starts to become something personal, you know what I mean? We do it in the evening, when we're alone, or in the morning, before we go to work, during breaks, when we're not with our colleagues, or we have one or two friends with whom we can talk about these things, and we do it in such a way that we even point it out, you know? In everyday life, as we call it, it's as if it shouldn't be that way. But that friend of mine, with whom I'm on a first-name basis with these topics, that automatically creates division. In my opinion, I don't think that we people are any different from nature or the universe here. And I don't think that since nature constantly shows us everywhere that it is one and connected with everything, we should divide ourselves. Yes, everyone is unique with their own path, life, and reality. But it's good for exploration, though. The two great polarities, the two great divisions, the spiritual and the material. If we want to live in a world where all these things are much more accessible to all of us, even those of us who ask the questions, even those of us who talk about these issues and topics, should stop dividing them like that. Good evening. And that happens when you start to feel spiritual while driving your material car, or to Perform a spiritual practice like meditation to ask how to arrange your library. Good. These are easy exercises and habits that a person can develop to reverse the processes in their brain so that it doesn't separate us so much, because we all know that everything starts first from thought, everything is mind, the world is mental, everything is first information, everything first exists as a space of variance somewhere out there as multiple options. We make a choice, the wave collapses. It appears as our objective single reality at the moment we have chosen. That's not what we are doing. We're not suddenly going to start doing it now, because spiritual laws will be integrated into the home, into everyday life. We're not suddenly going to start living the new life above the earth. Do you understand those who have chosen and are doing it and speaking in this way? They are already in this reality. They are already striving to complement, to balance, to integrate, to be themselves everywhere. Just like this episode. While this division exists within us, thanks to it, the other division also exists within us, which is us. To point our hand and finger and start pointing at who around us deserves to see this life and who definitely will not live in this reality. There's no perfect experience, I'm telling you. Life can surprise you. But that's the point, so we can have fun and really get excited by the unknown like children. But it can surprise you. And personally, I no longer set such prejudices about who, where, why, or how, even if it seems to me, even if he acts that way, it's still unclear. Because his inner choice, the definite one he makes with himself inside, when he's alone with himself, is very different. And once a person has chosen, it becomes visible. So in that sense, I think that a lot of things we see right now will simply change. One way or another, it will still exist, and the other thing you see, we will constantly be faced with choices. In one case, it will be with artificial intelligence, the kind of intelligence we call artificial, which will move strongly towards technology, and that will replace humans in everything, while the other will become organic intelligence, one that develops itself and is natural. These are again two sides. And in this way, while we are looking for how the division will manifest, we will never see unity. While we are looking for how something different will intertwine with something else different, it becomes very difficult to build a bridge. The idea is first to see where A is, where B is, and then to build the bridge, then to see that the bridge is the most logical thing to happen, between science and philosophy, for example. Between physics and medicine, between quantum physics and ancient Hermetic science or ancient Hermetism. And these are the most natural things that can happen regarding supernatural phenomena and people's experiences. And medicine, which is starting to do more and more research and to describe these experiences as phenomena in its textbooks. Little by little, this thing is happening. Whether we look at it, use it, and start working with it depends on us. Whether we close our eyes to it and say, oh, it still has a lot of time, oh, this won't happen now, oh, there's still nowhere, and we rest on old laurels and what we're used to being told is right. Again, it depends on us. So I think that these laws, they won't be integrated for the first time now. They operate on a certain layer of reality, they work, and thanks to them we exist, and we've talked about this many times. 8 life principles and 5 existence laws. You are mentality. Thanks to the fact that as above, so below, it is not below, which we, that is. First, we understand that maybe there is something above, and at some point, we somehow look for a way to integrate what is above into what is below. It's already like that. The fish is already in the ocean, as Rumi would say. I'd like you to tell us, the viewers, Mariana Georgieva, can you describe your usual day and any spiritual rituals so we can try them too? Could you also share your way of making wishes come true? For the second question, your way of making wishes come true, I will really refer you to. I made 5 or 6 episodes with a board, if you remember. If you haven't watched them, you can type session 00. The first episode session is about making wishes come true. I talk about that there. If I start talking about making wishes come true now, it will take up the whole time. Questions and answers, but in a very brief context. Focus determines the nature of our results. Yes, and insisting on a specific form. Don't insist on a hard red apple, but accept that there is a possibility to get this apple in another way. And it might not be red, but when you peel it, inside it will be somewhere between yellow and green, and it will be very tasty, and you'll still get an apple very quickly. It's said very beautifully in the episode, with all sorts of my own examples, how I manifested a car, how we were given a television, and all kinds of gifts like that. They are part of the abundance that each one of us contains. Everyone has their own experiences. He got a television, that's just how it is. I want it too, but why do you? Because you want it to happen to you as well. You want to join the group of those who get TVs as gifts? Or because you want to learn how to make your wishes come true? These are different positions. How does Moiden continue? I wake up, I've set an alarm that's electronic because the clock's batteries run out, and at some point I forget that I always need to have a battery around me. A Sony alarm clock that plugs in and always works. It's really cool. You can set it for 2, what time it is, and it has 2 alarms and you can set them, and I set them early in the morning, 6 or 7 o'clock. The advantage of waking up with an alarm is that you don't have to keep electronic devices around you. It's not in my room, my phone is not in my room. The first thing I see is the time on the alarm clock that's in front of me. And then, when I get up, I actually feel calmer, because you don't see and you don't start tapping on the screen and all those things right away. B. I wash up, I wake up, I make myself a nice coffee. Usually I read. Sometimes in the morning I get carried away and read for more than an hour, sometimes just a little. 5-10 pages to get into the field, and then usually I don't have breakfast. When I decide and want to do it because I love to cook, then I make a big effort and make eggs, bacon, very nice things. I want to put in the effort, but usually I don't have breakfast. I eat around 12 or 1. At 9, we come to the studio with Valia. We prepare the most necessary things for today, whether we're filming a guest or... There are a lot of daily things that you don't see on the screens, which also require a lot of time to clean up, to organize the equipment, batteries, cameras, cables, to stock products in the fridge, to pay for everything, yes, utilities and all sorts of things like that. And actually, my practices are intuitive. I don't follow anything specific. That time in my life when I felt the need to do something every day is over. That was when I was in Sofia, maybe in 2019-2020, when I was just learning to do all kinds of practices. Now, when I know what works for me. That's meditation, that's concentration with specific frequencies and music, that's writing when I want to express something or focus. I play some deep music that we've left for you in INRA. You can find it in the materials section, it's free, there's a link to it on YouTube. I play it, start writing, get into the mood, and from there I do whatever inspires me that day. That could mean making a new cover, cutting new short moments, clips from the episode with the guest, thinking about who I'd like to have as a guest and what topic I'd like to talk about. To create a new, fully improvised show and episode like this one. To set up the lights, sometimes play music from my favorite series, for example, Arrow. I love getting into that state of being present, you know? And then it comes again. But from the separation, you see, we start looking for something, some kind of big solution. People, what is someone doing? Tell me so I can do it too and become like you. Surprise. You can't become like me, not because I'm something special or there's something about me, but because I'm different, because I'm unique and individual. And you are individual and unique too, and you can only become yourself. Then you will stop looking for external things to compare yourself to. We will stop seeking external validation. We will stop looking for the answer in outside things. It is within you. The key is within you. The key is to find a way to get yourself into a certain state, into your authentic state. A natural state, then how do you get what you want? Because even if you're knitting, if you're in the right state of love, of alertness, of presence, does it really matter? Right now you're exploring this thing, and if it gives you the biggest thrill, you can combine it. Once you achieve a result, it should benefit others as well. It's about not knitting just for yourself for a while, but to start using that passion of yours to expand it so you can make someone else around you happy as well. What more meaning are we looking for? That's what I'm thinking. So rituals, I would rather call them reminders to enter a state. It's about concentration. Holding on, a few deep breaths, sometimes a walk, or just driving around. I want the wind to blow on me just to clear my mind. Sometimes I get in the shower. All of them, you know? I've learned to use my environment, what's around me, everything that's around me, it speaks to me. And really, the secret ingredient, the secret spice for a delicious dish is hidden in the most ordinary things around you. If you know how and when to use the right and necessary proportions for yourself. That comes with time. That happens when you start exploring what's in my room. Which of all these things makes me feel the happiest? Is there something that bothers me? Can I change it? Maybe in another room it will look different. Does the way I speak matter? Does the music I listen to matter? Does the path I walk, drive, or pass through every day on my way home matter? Do I have the option to take another path? How will it make me feel? This thing? From our studio to where we live, there are several routes. One of the routes, when I go home through it, I feel like I'm living in a completely different country. It's industrial. You feel like you're somewhere in Europe, a giant city, and you're going home. The other route is through the city. It's nice because it's convenient. You can pass by, get some food, drop off some things, drop off people. But if there's a stop, you feel like you're in the city. When I need it and feel okay, I take another route for fresh air and space. When I accept it, I go through the city. When I don't separate, but I use it, I maneuver. Between the choices, I can choose consciously, and this applies to everything, so this is an endless topic. Velev G. V. Choco, please answer. What is happiness? To be who you are, without worrying, and to create additional problems from the fact that you can be someone else. To be calm and at peace with yourself wherever you are, there, with whoever you are with, the person, just like you now. And that's, totally okay. To be at peace with yourself, just to be okay, to be happy where you are, not to chase something at any cost. Never regret anything, no matter what. In a minute, if we really realize that we are thinking about the minute, focusing only on the present, these conversations are much smoother. I really enjoy them. They feel therapeutic to me. And you had also written somewhere in these questions that you want more. To hear me speak again is a pleasure for me. After all, this is my channel, right? Another question is a paradox. Svetlana Stoyanova, happy name day. You were the first Bulgarian I followed on YouTube, and you discussed these topics. I've never paid attention to your age. In fact, I've always thought you were older. I like you because you're very gentle with your guests, curious, and an accepting soul. I want to ask you a question. What do you truly believe in? You accept everyone's truths, you give them space, but what exactly is the truth for you? How do you feel it? Or what are you really convinced of? Thanks for your experiences. Keep moving forward. This question, it changes over time. because we become what we believe, and every day we emit new thoughts. But at its core, what lies beneath hasn't changed from what you can find. Before Reality Explorers existed as a format, we made over 140 episodes of Hidden Reality together, and before that, stories of prominent individuals, so many videos in which, underneath, as a subtext, there was always one foundation. We are not just matter, we are M. We determine our own destiny, we do it, and most of the time we do it unconsciously. I believe there are no bad people, even though there are disgusting actions. I deeply believe there are no bad people. I believe there are no disgusting actions. There is no longer a dead end, because once something happens, its counterpart also exists, which is the opposite, and you can look for it to turn the situation around. I believe that nothing is final, nothing is absolute. That will stay the same and continue like this forever. Everything is transient, rhythmic, and a wave. And if something right now seems hopeless and like it will always be this way and there will be no end, but that's just your brain trying to trick you. It's not like that. Everything passes. Whatever you point to in your life, it all passes. I believe that our choices create and recreate reality. I believe that through our choices, we end up in a reality that matches who we are at the moment. But if we lie about who we are, then reality doesn't care. The universe, the source, it's a mirror. Then we'll end up in a reality where we're being lied to as well, quite thoroughly. I believe that everyone has equal potential, even though not everyone has an equal start. I believe that you decide, will you waste your time on nonsense and news that are new every day? And they won't end tomorrow, it'll just be something else. Or you can give it to AAA self-education. I believe that education is a necessary foundation for adapting to the world, but education alone is much more essential. What you will do after you turn 18, after you leave your parents and your life begins, what you will start doing every day when you wake up. The habits that you might have at 80, you'll have the chance to start creating them anew, and about 20 will remain from what you learned before. You will have the chance then to reprogram yourself, to decide what you actually want to be present in your life, which people, which events, which phenomena, which interests, and to choose. You will have the chance to choose much more often. Education before entertainment, and then you'll start to see that they blend into each other. Then education becomes fun and entertainment becomes educational because you start to see the lessons in certain entertainments. This splits into two more things. You can have fun completely by just closing your mind, or you can have fun and then even see what the lesson was and so on. I believe that we are not part of the source. As hard as it may sound for many people to understand, we are the entire source. At the moment when we experience ourselves as these separate mirrors, at our core, we are everything. I believe this, I know it, I don't even need to believe it, I just feel it, I simply know it. For me, everything else is illogical, that's how I'll put it. For me, it's just clear. But this place we go to when we close our eyes and separate from the suit, whatever changes, and that's what we've always been, we don't need to go there to remember it. We are anyway. Have you ever imagined what you would be doing in the future? What do you think your mission is? Are you living? Or maybe you have something big that you're expecting in your life. I really am okay where I am right now. I really am happy with what we're doing. I think that it contributes a lot to the overall change in Bulgaria and in the world. And what I would do over time is to expand it, to make bigger and bigger productions. I've filmed some cuckoo documentaries which I want and I know we will make happen. Of course, since I was very young, I've had one big dream, if you ask me in this way, that is to subscribe. To make a feature film that will be released. And of course, what's coming up with the release of my first book and the ones to follow. With all the events, this is just an extension of the main idea, subscribe, about the word mission.
I don't know.
It's hard for me to step into those shoes, maybe because that word is a bit tainted. What do you think? I don't know. I don't see it. Maybe it really depends a lot on how we define a mission. If that's the case, then here you go. A person should do what they came to Earth for, with love, dedication to others, gratitude, and with the most natural contribution. Then yes, but if it's something that just weighs you down, if it's just for your portfolio, your excuse, your escape, I do it because I'm following my mission, I did this and that because of my mission. I'm not sure. Subscribe. From another point of view, everything is now, meaning you only have what you are now. Do you understand? That is, to learn more, to be more present in the moment, and from there to see how and what we want to do. And here comes a unique quote from Alan Watts. Any striving for spiritual ideals is completely pointless, since pursuit pushes them further and further away. A wise man said, the more knowledge you gain, the more sorrow you feel. Is that true for you? I think it was Ecclesiastes. Are you happy? Yes, I said it. Going back to watching movies I enjoyed as a child helps me a lot. That's why I collect cartoon character figurines. That's why sometimes I have it as a hobby. I love collecting different items from various movie universes, from all kinds of characters. It doesn't matter if it's Batman, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Arrow, or the Avengers. These things reconnect me with my inner child, helping me not take myself too seriously. And I know that whenever I need to, I enter these universes, and that's how it is. Then I forget about that knowledge, even though it's within me, and later I can use it in a fresher, even more understandable way. Because I think Einstein said it. If you can't explain what you know to a small child, I'll try to formulate the question as well as I can. I've always wanted to know your opinion on what became known as shifting. During the 2021-2022 TikTok quarantine, everyone presented it differently, but most often it was described as moving to a different universe through writing scripts or other methods that weren't very clear. I never really understood what it was or how it worked. Yes, I remember that thing. Subscribe to the channel is based on the so-called term in English, reality shifting. This is the same thing we're talking about, the shifting or transferring from one reality to another. Vadim Zeland. Maybe he is the person who will answer the question most accurately in his books Space of Variations, Reality Transurfing, and Reality Creator. Apples are falling from the sky, forward into the past. There you can actually see how this thing works, how every desire, thought, and form. And the more you repeat something, it starts to happen. If you don't want something to happen to you, it's not enough just not to think about it, but you should start thinking about something else. It must grab your attention fast or something else happens. What had become a trend, the idea was to make sense, in the same way. For some people, COVID was a terrible thing, for others it was a change. The people around me were great, I had a really good time. That was a moment of isolation, which really helped me to focus, to see exactly what I want to do, and not to sleep or be lazy until this thing passed. I'm taking advantage of the fact that the world has put me in a box and I can take action. And that's exactly what I did. You change reality first in your mind and again through your actions. Always think about it, always. You always have something to do around you. There's always something you can do. Even if we say nothing can be done in this situation, there's always something you can do. The real question is if you want to. This works, but we'll cover it in an entire episode. That's a really good idea. Honestly, it's wonderful, so in order to have more time for questions, we'll do that in a separate episode. If you like this format, we can do it every Sunday, minutes every Sunday. We upload episodes of reality and research, but maybe twice a month or once a week. Additionally, who knows? There are a lot of questions, people, so you can stop things much more often, and that's wonderful. My respects, Choco. You are clearly gaining popularity and momentum in what you do, and I congratulate you for that. What lies ahead in this uncertain future? Some predict humanity's end, while others see these times as crucial. After that, another golden age will come, with more awakened souls who are on higher levels. This is an answer to the question. He doesn't have to be Vanga to answer you. Don't you see there's no time to answer you? His workload has increased or become overwhelming. Every civilization has a beginning, and I don't know of any civilization that lasted over 20,000 years because of the cycles. Nothing depends on us. We are born with free will so that we can make the right choice. Alright, seek and you will find. Okay, well, here is my answer. I don't know how my colleague decided that I didn't have time to respond. That's really cool, but here it is. It turns out that I'm answering, and that's the other reality. Respect to you too. It seems you're clearly gaining popularity. Here I want to make a side note, guys. I've been on YouTube for 10 years, so for 10 years now, you could say I've been gaining popularity. There are people who are just now discovering what I do, and I'm very grateful to them. I'm happy, but just keep that in mind. Keep in mind that I've been on this journey for a long time and I've gotten used to it a long time ago. Every day I walk around, people meet me, we greet each other, we take pictures together. In general, when you're a public figure, you get used to a more specific, let's call it behavior and attitude towards you, which is a separate topic. How and what do I think it should be? Yes, my colleague is right, I'm not Vanga, so I won't answer you that way, because I don't believe there's only one future. We discussed this just now. We exist in a space of possibilities, and it's up to humanity which direction we take, and that depends on their definite choices, both in the smallest things and in the big decisions in life. That depends on their honesty with themselves, others, and to what extent. A stone rests where it belongs, and a spoken word should truly be like a stone throne. And if I have said that I will do something, I should go and do it. If not, then I should inform or notify that I won't do it. That works too. This thing shapes our future, but it's good to consider that everything begins now, and our future isn't set. Remember the predictions that were made for 2012 about the end of the Mayan calendar and all those things before that, all those prophets who made many predictions. They were accurate in some of them, but globally, everything depends on us people. I stand by that. Our choices stretch new time and space, which makes things turn and happen in the best way for the development of the whole. Subscribe. Who can say what is best for the whole except those who experience it? Second question. What kind of thoughts are we emitting right now? And what are we experiencing? That is, why do we insist on having wars? Why do we watch, repost, share, and take interest in such things in our world at all. There are so many wonderful things left in the world. Just look at the nature of Bulgaria, and that's enough for you. Why not? Why don't we spread more goodness, good examples, good stories, the things that bring joy to everyone, whether they make them cry from happiness or simply give them courage? It's easier for us because our brains process negative information more easily than positive. And that's where we come in. If we fix that, there's no need to worry about the rest. What did it take to get here? Share your toughest moment. Sveto? Amin 3051 Amin. How do we sum it up? Maybe split. Mistakes, interruptions, which I, being more emotional and empathetic at times, immediately rush to help. And sometimes this hasn't worked out so well for me, Arshika Ampak. After a while, you understand why it happened. Subscribe. My hardest moment? I have a really hard time ranking things. Maybe you can tell, I don't know. Because I always come from the point that, we are equal. We are one. Then it becomes really hard to say what is the hardest, what is the heaviest, what is the easiest for you. At that moment, one thing is the hardest. Now it's not like that anymore, but still, that's how it was. Maybe, the period when I impulsively bought a house, an old house in the village. I did a lot of renovations, and it turned out that I spent quite a lot of money. As materialistic as it may sound, from ill-considered and not unspecified decisions and ideas in my head. A lot was learned there because, on one hand, I learned quite a bit about construction and about this field in general. But on the other hand, I realized that even if something happens to you where you clearly lose, it's still a big plus that you go through it. And when it happened that I tore down everything I had been building for so long to make it like a big home and a beautiful old house, then I realized that it was liberating. Then I realized that you can allow yourself, even though it's painful, even though it may look like anything, but you can do it. And even more, the interesting thing is that the next day you can get up and keep going. And you can smile again and find happiness again. And you can be joyful again and inspired again and find courage again and be brave again. This is our strength. I follow you on Facebook and have tracked my changes for 2 years. For your age, you have impressive awareness. Thank you. My question is, Velichko Kostadinov, isn't the level of awareness and way of thinking already predetermined and not only defined by the environment we live in? Who would predetermine it? If it's from your higher consciousness, then yes. After that, you enter this environment, swallowing the key you created yourself for this garden, and you start playing inside this maze with the whole environment that is in this field. Then both you and your environment have it. Subscribe to the channel. It plays a key role in influencing thought and awareness, but let's focus this only on the environment. They impose it, define me, call me that, or I see myself that way. I don't care. No one can tell me anything and no one influences me. So, these two extremes, I think this was answered earlier. What was the first one? Yanka Slavova asks, what first sparked your understanding in life? How heavy that sounds though, I don't know, maybe we're heading toward changing the terms. What was the first thing? I'm joking. The first thing in your life that sparked your interest in spirituality. That was the book by Dan Millman, The Way of the Peaceful Warrior. Yes, in 10th grade, I've told this story before. It was given to me by a boy after we went on a trip. Did The Way of the Peaceful Warrior teach you anything? There's also a movie, but it's a much more condensed version of the book. I recommend the book. But now that I think about it, when I was even younger, or was it after that? Don't touch us or this Jan van Helsing book. That's the question. Tatiana Georgieva asks, thanks to the people you invite, who are all knowledgeable, have you grown because it shows? Why? Are many of them living abroad? If they lived here permanently, would they still be so aware and knowledgeable, or would that come later? Or are they our awakeners? Everyone is an awakener in their own life, for themselves, for those around them, or a victim. It's a matter of our own choice. And yes, the people we invite, I'll repeat again, have been the same for 2 years. I've been on YouTube for a decade. I've been on this journey, so to speak, on the path of awareness since 2000 and around 2018, somewhere there. So, 8 years, 8 years. That's exactly the moment when someone decided that I've grown up. That's a personal interpretation about myself. I'm still moving forward. Subscribe to our channel. I feel much more comfortable in my own skin. Subscribe. Our channel is in good shape, let's call it that. Inform the people who line up like that. Look, the people we invite are not prepared in advance. Here's a surprise. The people we invite are part of the flow from ours. We go with the flow, people write to us, we communicate with them, we feel each other out, we adjust to each other, and it gets to the point where we invite them and create a show. We don't research them psychologically, we don't have agents to provide us with information. Everything happens naturally, and that's exactly why the episodes turn out so beautiful and unique. So, yes, thanks to all these people, I learn what it's like to be on the other side. I learn, and in this way I maintain myself. What is it like to listen, to be silent, to ask questions, not to get an answer, to hear, or to hear something different from what you imagined? Is that so? So these are my trainings, both for presence and for depth and for relationships with other people. In this sense, I am very grateful to them, and a person grows every moment. I don't think we should categorize from one specific thing or another, even though there are such amplitudes. See, there are so many questions that you could make a second or third part. Nefis Izet, happy, it's a pleasure to hear you. Your voice has truth and warmth. Always follow your path, and may all your dreams come true. Thank you. My question is, who sees through our eyes? I have one answer, but I would be glad to hear another opinion, especially from you. Source, the whole. Diana Dimova Aneva, from the conversations with so many people, do you feel we are moving toward greater well-being, peace, and unconditional love? All this is for growth in knowledge and opportunity. If I didn't believe it, I wouldn't be doing this. For me and for the team, all the people who go out every week for the first time, these people are not used to it like I am. One studio here, another there, cameras ready, start, record, be yourself, then stop and return to normal. These people are sitting for the first time in front of someone who asks them questions that reflect both their life and their choices and direction of their general worldview. These people are on camera for the first time. And what comes out is what comes out. Do you understand? There's no script, there's no predetermined path that's being followed. All of this comes from them in the unique way of each person, who obviously doesn't know the others, but it comes out with the same message in the subtext. At the core, we are one. Each of us chooses the power of choice. We change reality. We recreate it. And the more courageous we are to come out and talk about our experiences, which at the moment of experiencing them were heavy, difficult, nasty, terrible. But after that, we fought through, we came out, and we even started to get to know these states. We realize our strength and capabilities in both the energetic and material worlds, finding symbiosis and sharing with more people. And if we have doubts, it means we are looking to give our power to something external, to an external authority. I do not wish to be an authority. I do not wish to follow that thing. Be inspired and follow those who ignite your passion, but let them spark your own fire. So that afterwards you can stand up and do what inspires you, so that you can inspire others to do the things that... Let's get out of the mindset that this only happens in movies or that they just talk nicely on the show. But when you go out into the real world, it's not like that. Well, these people actually come from there, right? That's why we made the show. Everyone thinks they're an expert. If we united for the good of all people on earth, what idea would we choose? Emilia Kristova? Love is the only reality. Stoyan Girov, I have a question on my mind. If we accept the model that everything in the quantum field is a potential in the form of a wave, is the field sending me information that enters my mind as thoughts because it wants me to act? And by sending information back from my experiences, the field uniquely expands? Well done. Or is it my higher self that chooses information from the field to send to me with the same purpose, to return information from my experiences to it, and for expansion? I should also ask whether the information I receive depends on my vibration, level of consciousness, and when does free will come into play. Respect, thank you, colleague. And colleague, I'm also Adash and he's Stoyan too. This is a very, very, very good question. These are the questions that push us forward without disrespecting the others. Here we are dealing with definitions. What is the field for you? What is the higher self for you? Because if the higher self is a more expanded version of yourself, which you somehow understand as the field that speaks to you, but the field that speaks to you is different from the source or the creator, then think about your definitions. But what you're asking me, the idea is that all the probabilities in the field, in the potential, that's in the vacuum, they exist, and at the same time, everything is nothing. That is, there is nothing there, but precisely because there is nothing inside, all probabilities, all potentials exist. They appear and disappear, only existing once a decision is made. And then the process is interaction. That is, when you send an impulse, you are also given information. In another case, you are given information so that you can make a decision and send an impulse. That is, the process happens together in the same way as when we wake up from sleep and remember something. This is information from the field, from the potential, about how we can change our choice or adjust our direction at the moment, today, and what we have set out to explore. And in this regard, the idea is that your vibration, ciao, should not be limited. That is, it should always be directed towards everyone, always with love, always with inspiration, always with the possibility to understand, to show understanding and acceptance. And then free will is actually the way for you to choose how to experience the information that is given to you. and whether you even allow it right now as an option that can guide your life at this moment. Because if you think about it, the field or the potential of possibilities, it constantly sends you signals, but there's no way for you to physically respond to all of them. Meaning, the whole brain is limited. We can't respond to all of them, to the constant ones that are every moment, because the system would crash. That's why we have filtration that starts to isolate and accept those frequencies that are most needed at the moment so that I can perform my task in the experience more adequately. And then the question is rather, how can I be aware of my filtration and what it is, what are my filters? The glasses through which I see reality so that I can have a clearer idea of the messages or the directions that are given to me from the field. And only then can I start to maneuver. Keep in mind that information is always distorted, even in a state of channeling. It always passes through you, and as it passes through you, it's practically filtered from the source. It always passes through you, who you are, and it manifests in you, so that it can choose one impulse, which again passes through him. It swirls, it manifests as an idea, and again passes through you as a final test, either asked or wondering whether you will take the action to realize this idea, this communication between us and the whole potential. It stops us, it's like a pipe, open on one side and open on the other. On our side, it's dirtier. On the other side, everything is open, outside, upwards, everywhere. So rather, yes. Rather, yes. To be aware of the power of free choice, because it drives free choice itself. It holds many secrets within itself, so to speak, many possibilities. It expands and spreads on its own, and it stretches the whole space-time around us. One choice can change a lot, and we've all seen it. For me, regardless of my perspective, the information provided, or any hints received, choice always comes first, because choice means a different kind of definition of what's in the field, because choice means choice. That is, from the whole I choose, from the whole I select, from the whole I limit. And then the information that was in the whole, but was not realized as form, as matter, there is a need for me, someone to make a choice in order to realize it as form, but I am the one who chooses whether to bring this specific information into form, because I can choose from the whole. What do you believe and what do you know? That's a tricky question. That's because I often quote one of our guests who put this question very precisely. He said, I don't need to believe, I don't have to. You said something really wonderful. Do you believe in the meeting of two souls from a previous life in the present one? Have you ever experienced such a meeting? And if so, what was the feeling? How did you recognize it? Well, I'd be lying if I said it never happened to me. The question is because I've met a lot of people and I've had similar feelings, but I don't specifically remember the answer to this question about the two souls. For me, I found it best in the movie Mr. Nobody, because there the main character, Neo, experiences himself simultaneously in his different realities. And there, in one of them, where he meets Anna as an adult after an accident, she asks him, have we seen each other before? And he says, no. Or was it him who asked, I don't remember? And she says no, and he says no, no, no. This is strange. It's like she knows him already, but in the other reality, she's his wife. And he tells him, yes, it's called déjà vu caché. For me, these people we are with, who are currently our environment, we have been with them somewhere else, but in a different form, and now we are only in this one here. So yes, to some extent, that's true. It depends on how you look at it, a lot. It depends on how time and space intertwine. But Mr. Nobody shows it better than I can explain it. Have you ever wondered, if this is just a dream, how would you react if you found out that you are just a part of your own dream? A slash? We think of ourselves as people, but is that really the case? But is that really the case? Who said that what we're experiencing right now isn't a dream? Here's another helpful movie, Inception. It's like dreaming. When you're fully immersed in the dream, it feels like the only reality. You don't question how. You're somewhere else. That's how you know it's real. That's the idea behind the game and forgetting, to forget you're dreaming. At some point, you explore the path and get answers. Like in a game where you reach level 99 and your character can do everything, knows everything, defeats everyone, has seen all the possibilities, and then it gets boring for you. The only thing you can do to make the game interesting again is to restart from level 0, but to erase your memories and recollection. And then comes the thrill. Whether, even though you've erased your memories you've forgotten, will you still be able to find your way and remember all of it? I think that's the closest answer I can give right now to your question about whether I'm the butterfly or whether it's me. Is Confucius the butterfly in another reality, or is the butterfly Confucius right now dreaming? And so, many things can play out, but for me, these are just the different options of our choices. Where our focus is as a being, where our attention is, where we choose to be, that's where we are. At another time, we're elsewhere. And in this way, we jump from dream to dream, we play from game to game. And this in turn suggests another subtext. Do dreams have an end? And do we? I don't know why I thought you were 30. Thank you. From your current point of view, what is the meaning of our life here? A meaningful life? We can analyze it deeply or see no meaning at all, and that's the meaning. Eva Blagoeva, the last word belongs to God, and in our interactions, He should always come first. With an exclamation mark, what do you think? I would ask, what is this last word if God or the Source is infinite and should always be present first in our interactions? Put that way, which interactions do you mean? Because if they're that kind, then the only evidence is Him, because there's nothing else except the whole thing. There is nothing outside the whole Kybalion, since the whole is everything and everything is in the whole. And since we are in this whole, then this is something completely natural, something completely normal. Maybe you mean that people get distracted by all sorts of things and forget about this connection. I agree. Maybe you mean that we need to create some reminders for this daily presence. And I would even add that when we find this presence, we shouldn't divide or look up in that way, because we are always searching and have been taught to search for salvation, understanding, forgiveness, and acceptance from outside. But the kingdom is within you, said in another language. Veselina Bashova, why did you and Ivo, Umir and Emi stop the podcasts? I think it was mutual. On one hand, because we've left behind some unique episodes that are very substantial and have covered most of the topics discussed in the theory. Kogitalnosta. On the other hand, because we ourselves in this form, I can speak for myself. I was running out of energy, and because it happened that at that moment we decided to explore different things, it's just that right now, during this period, our explorations, our paths are the same, even though they're different. We have some really great series that I encourage everyone to watch because they show the teacher-student relationship, the understanding, and the very foundation of things. And to allow ourselves to open up to ourselves and to others. Ante Meridium, yes, so I think it became very natural. This thing, and to some extent it was necessary. If it hadn't happened, where would we be if we think about it? This is a very cool lesson. It's also in the movies. Ante Meridium. And this too shall pass, or in other words, don't. When you see that something is over, for example, a favorite trilogy, or a camp by the sea, or a work crew, or a birthday, or days when you felt unique. Don't cry because it's over, be happy because it happened. That's another way to see life. Everything is rhythm. And just like what we started with in the beginning, nothing lasts forever in this form of ours, material. And truly, our time with friends, with loved ones, the situations we're in right now, the events we organize, the desires we follow, they will come to an end. They end just as they begin, but the experience remains and it leaves a mark on its own. And that's why it's worth putting our passion into what we do. What is or who is your main driving force? I want to give advice to my son. Thank you in advance. Mitata. Do you know? This is probably the proof that everything you set out to do actually happens. These are the people you meet in life. These are the endless thanks and messages from everyone who watches what we do. This is that I am starting to appreciate each day more and more. That I even wake up at all and everything is fine and I can get up and do whatever I decide and choose. It's the little things like reflecting and really paying attention to the fried eggs you make for your partner. Will you overcook the rice or the meatballs? At the same time, these are also the moments with your loved ones, when you might not always be on the same wavelength, but that's not necessary. And yet, we should appreciate the time we have with them. Dagi, we're making these kavitusa. Life itself is an engine, yes, an engine that knows it will end. Even physically, Mark Avreli has always reminded himself of that. Every day he woke up with the clear awareness of facing death, knowing that today could be his last day. Many things, but mainly that. To be able to get up and know that I have the freedom within myself to achieve, to do the things I want, and to know that this is my right. Kakato Peach turned into this in a moment with a lot of coffee, bro. With what thoughts do you greet the morning? How nice it is to be human. How wonderful it is that we have this chance out of so many millions of stars, out of so many specks of dust in the universe and in the galaxy, to appear right here on Earth in exactly this form at exactly this time. How amazing is this thing and how many things life has to offer us. How beautiful life is. how much there is to experience and explore, how colorful it is, how endless it is, how wonderful it is to be alive, how good it is, how wonderful it is, how you can choose freely, how wonderful it is that you can follow what inspires you, how wonderful it is that there are people around you who love you, how great it is that you are supported, how wonderful it is that you can choose, how wonderful it is to love, how wonderful it is that everything is okay, how wonderful it is that there's no need to rush anywhere, how nice it is just to be where you are. Last one. For today, how do you get up after tough moments? How do you keep believing when it's the daily routine, work, the people around you with unresolved situations, unspoken conversations, words you swallow like lumps in your throat, difficulties in your approach to your child? Sometimes it feels like all this swirls into an emotional hurricane, destroying everything, especially you. How do you not give up? How do you keep going on your spiritual path, on the path of your soul, when you face misunderstanding from your partner and accusations of selfishness? The question contains the answer. The people around you with whom you have unresolved situations, unspoken conversations, words you swallow like lumps in your throat, difficulties in your approach to your child. That's why I told you at the beginning, whatever I say, right? Whatever methods you see in the future, even on my channel or expressed by me elsewhere, because all of this will intensify. You all know it. I want to tell you something very important. Find your own way to get back to the basics, to the mechanism of existence itself. Find your own way. I don't know what it is for you. I can tell you my way, but you shouldn't take it as a ready-made framework or template. But for me, that's how it will be for me. This is the movie Interstellar. For me, it's about the series Arrow, the movie The Lion King, the music from the movie Gladiator, the music Time by Hans Zimmer. For me, it's watching and enjoying the game of Grigor Dimitrov. For me, it's meditation. For me, it's the sound of the rain. That's just amazing. For me, it's the moments of fun with close friends, but that's just me. For you, it could be different things. Of course, for you, it might be something completely different. It could be painting, it could be woodworking, or it might not be any of these things, and that's okay. But whatever we do, as long as we blame our environment for the states that are inside us and point to it as the first and main reason for everything that happens to us, we will inevitably feel angry, frustrated, exhausted, inadequate, unworthy, unloved, disrespected, and unhappy. Eli, at least I have come to this conclusion. We can put words in other people's mouths, make them speak the way we want, but we can choose how we speak to them. How we react. We can stay silent, we can open up, be honest, express it. It's really better for people to say things to each other, even if you're not accepted, even if it sounds painful, even if your voice trembles, even if it's unpleasant here, rather than tomorrow when you won't have the chance to say it to Tola anymore. Man, just thinking about it, and you've already walked half the way toward him. Whatever it is, I don't know why we're still holding on. And somehow we think that if you keep holding it inside yourself, well, yeah, because it's calmer and you feel in control, it kind of makes sense somehow. That's the right decision. That's the better, more humane version, the better outcome of events. Rather than going and telling it to the person you love, who's with you, who's right in front of you. Not to some random person, but to the one who's with you every day. That's what matters to you, not the random one. At the same time, for example, on Choco, the one you set up a meeting with, you'll share it with him right away. Well, why? Tell your close one. Why are you telling me? I'm not going to go and tell him on your behalf, Ali, or whatever. Find a way to express everything, because they turn into a burden, and that burden lasts 10, 20 years. One day you just decide that this doesn't need to be your path anymore. Here. Why would you struggle for 20 years, and why make the others struggle too, like you? Most of the time you're sad, uncomfortable, or burdened. I'm less so. Well, since I've seen and I live in the other version, and I see that it can turn out the same way, just like Taj, with the misfortune and the burden. I prefer the alternative, but it requires you to be open, to be natural, to be yourself. Why does it matter what others say or how they'll react in the end? Basically, you choose not something that's been set for you. If you believe it's been set for you, it's not really you. We came here to understand, and we're constantly understanding. The consequences of our choices that we make, to understand, to experience it, to play it out, to see why we've chosen this way. And I mainly see this with a lot of people who have partners. Let's say the woman is very interested in spiritual things, but the man is somewhere out there. Oh, you can't force him, that's fine. Why? I mean, in some ways you can be together, in others not so much. It's personal, you know. Okay. And family is personal, Amo, but you're together. So in that way it's personal too. Eli is together. Either you're together or you're as one. At least that's how I see it, and that's how I live it. And Eli. Let's be braver to say these things on time without... I judge and calculate in my head who would say what to me, how he would react, what he would do. But you can lie, and that, at least that is honest, and the other thing too. There's no way for you or for all of us not to be honest, not to be adequate, not to be natural, and to look for people in our surroundings to interact with us that way. Kids understand style even better than us. C-A-D. Do we really need to go through a state? Yes, the first or second time, but after that, when it happens to us and we get some information, guidance, a sign, and we don't act, then it's already a choice. That means we prefer to stay in that state. We like it for some masochistic reason. It's better for us to feel burdened than to free ourselves, feel light, and enjoy everything around us. Tomorrow, just moments later, these people will change. If you're in a car listening to your favorite song, roll down the windows and have fun. Only now is it exactly like this. These people, this configuration, this sunset, this sky bears the color of love as sung in a song by Shti. Look at the sky. See, that's the color of love. Everything is love. That's how it is. I don't choose. That's just how I see and believe it. It always happens to me. I insist on clarifying in case you haven't noticed some things, but that's not the case. The meaning is an assumption that everyone is free to choose between the two in whatever they do. If he prefers to be in a certain state, then that's what he'll get. We know that. The fourth law of existence. But you know, Bogdaria, this is a very different experience. Just so you know. First, from the guest point of view here, I didn't know he sees the environment this way, and it's very interesting. Second, now I'm talking to you and I'm in this stage, right at this moment. It won't happen again, for which I can only be grateful to you, the people who are watching in my... Thank you, you people. You are really cool. You are light. You are joy, you are the way, you are direction. Thank you. Write me something nice, comment your other questions if you want more videos like this. They are pure, there are no scenes, no music, but it's human and maybe it's more necessary in these times to be natural, and if this provokes you to be even more natural. With joy, I would accept your Bogdaria from South Carolina, bowing Bogdaria. I wish for you to be more and more yourselves, to be more and more natural, and not to be afraid of what stands against you. There's nothing to be afraid of, there's nothing to scare you. That's just you in another form. Everything is fine, relax, just